I have no idea what you're talking about. Maybe you can talk to me offline and help me out because I thought I did the right thing with this Ethernet cable and hook up. I don't know. Sorry, you guys. All right. Jesus, take the wheel. All right, it is what it is. Bailout fund. A bailout fund is like a first line of defense. A lot of people in personal finance space, especially those who talk about that, they say, you know what? The emergency fund is the most important thing. After you paid off debt, and then you get an emergency fund, you build it up 3 to 6 months. I get that. But for people who have families or you just have goals or other things going on, you may want to decide to have a bailout fund, which is normally what people call a cushion or a buffer in their account. But based on what I've read and what I've been learning is that it's something it's an excess balance in your checking account above your minimum or above your monthly expenses. So let's say I'll use myself as an example. $2,000 a month is basically where our expenses are right now, give or take a few dollars. And if $2,000 is in our checking account as a cushion, right? Then we need to have a bailout fund above that. So that is your first line of defense. That's something new that we can do to prevent having to dip into your emergency fund constantly or take out a personal loan or use a credit card because life happens when life happens. And sometimes those emergencies are not true emergencies, but there's something that's urgent that you have to take care of. Having a bailout fund is something I learned that I think is important. It would help me personally sleep at night. And if I'm not the only one, let me know. Why? Because it's a first line of defense. Keep enough inside your bailout fund to support the household. So again, that could be like somebody having to take unexpected time off of work or you're switching jobs, things like that. That makes sense to me as a first line of defense outside of an emergency fund. So thinking, oh my gosh, the refrigerator conked out and now we need a new one. An emergency fund would come into place, but the emergency fund seems like for those much bigger life happens where you could not even expect this to happen at this time. But a bailout fund is like, man, I need to replace this refrigerator. Let me go ahead with this. And it doesn't mean that it's something that you'll have right away. For some of us, we have to build up towards that, which is why I'm using savings challenges. I have savings challenges in this Filofax wallet. And one of the savings challenges I decided to do at the end of last year was Alicia from Hands and Bands, Your Year to Save $1,000. And in cash, I'm putting that money aside. And why am I doing it in cash? Because I know if I keep it in my account now, I might be tempted to just swipe that card and spend it because everything will be an urgency. So I'm putting it in cash, but I'm going to save that first $1,000. And this will basically be going towards our bailout fund so that it's excess money in that checking account. So if we need it and when we need it, it's there. And then once we put it in there, it'll start to accrue interest and it'll kind of work for us a little better. I always think, and my philosophy is your money should work for you while you're working for it, while you're working for your family, while you're doing the things that you need to do in life. Don't work so hard for your money that you miss the abundant life that you were gifted to live, but put it somewhere and do things with it that will help it to grow, right? I think that's important. And let's see, emergency fund. This looks wonky, but we're going to continue. An emergency fund is another line of defense, but I think maybe it's that second or third line of defense for that big thing. There was a woman on YouTube that I don't know if she's here anymore, and if you remember, I forgot her name, but she always shout out people at the beginning of her videos. I haven't seen a budgeting video for her in quite some time, but she had what she called a mini emergency fund and then her large emergency fund or big emergency fund. And she had them in two separate places. And I thought that was a good idea because it is a line of defense, but to what extent? Like, what are you classifying as a true emergency, right? Bailout, excess money in your checking account, right? Because that is enough to support the household if something happens in the house that you need. But then your emergency fund is, oh my God, I have to take off of work because I was unwell, I was sick, or I have to visit a family member out of town, and I need to secure something. Oh boy, why is he calling me? Sorry. Hi. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
What's happening?
Um,
Yeah, I can do that. Bye. So that's the next step, having a second or a third line of defense in an emergency fund. And what I like about this book is that the mention is the automatic millionaire. So it's making it automatic. It's transferring the money on it simply every single week. I think with an emergency fund, it is fluid, right? Because you can get to a certain amount and you say, oh, I'm fully funded because I hit my goal. But then maybe you have to use it, or maybe you have to increase it because your expenses increase over time, or maybe you're planning ahead for bills or something like that, expenses that might increase because inflation happens regularly. That's just what it is, right? So maybe you have to keep increasing the emergency fund. So why not set it up automatically where a set amount of money, let's say $25, goes every month or every week if you can afford it, transferring that over, because that is you're building up your line of defense. I ideally, for me, and I'm talking for me because everybody is different, and if you can resonate with this, if this touches something in your life that you want to think about or consider, then good. But for me, I'm thinking my emergency fund is like that linebacker, and I don't know a lot about football, but there has to be somebody's protecting the quarterback, somebody's protecting that linebacker. There is an order of things, and I think my emergency fund is way in the back because I don't want to touch that or tap into that before I go through. Let me see what's in my bailout fund. Let me see what excess money I have in my checking account before I go grabbing this money here. That's how I would like to do it, because there's like tiers to this thing. There's levels, and I want to protect that emergency fund at all costs, and then start from the front and move my way back, if that makes sense. Another thing that I think that we can do with our money to increase it is to save for future bills, and that would be like your last line of defense, because again, inflation is touching everything. I know it seems a whole lot more now because it's in the news, it's in the media. We know with all the stimulus money that was given out a couple years ago, it caused a lot of inflation because Americans were saving more, and people all across the world, they were saving much more money. But then some people were hoarding it and weren't spending it, and so that caused the cost of goods and services to increase, right? So now you're seeing it hit your groceries, you're seeing it hit your gas, you're seeing it hit your utility bills. Companies are finding new ways to increase their revenue so they can make more profits, and it's causing the consumers to pay more out of pocket. So one of the things that we can do is to save for future bills. I feel like um, I feel like it's one of those things where if you can do it piece by piece, it can still help you. Another one of the ways I'm saving for future bills is saving a portion of like my husband's income, some of his like commission. So a portion of that I'm saving and putting it in cash as often as I can. So that, and it's a challenge I created called Save My Hourly Rate. And I'm putting money aside because this can go towards those bills, or we can pay ourselves if and when we need to. I feel like even if you're not in a position where you can throw $1,000 at a goal or savings goal every month or every week, whatever you can do can help you in the future. And I feel like we need to be mindful that $5 still adds up to $100, but the consistency of putting that money away or putting it to the side or finding new ways to make it so it can work harder for you, that's what's important. It's not that okay, I got $10,000 in my hand. Now what do I do with it? It's I have $10 right now. And I believe that God would want me to be just as good of a steward over that $10 as he would that 10,000. And I'm sorry, I am a Christian, I'm a believer. So I'm going to place everything into that biblical standpoint. From a biblical standpoint, if you're faithful over the little things, over the few things, then you will be faithful over much. And more money doesn't mean you're not going to have more challenges or more problems won't arise or things won't happen. But if you can be faithful and diligent with the few dollars that you have here, then you can definitely do it with more, because we have to make things stretch. We have to be strategic. We have to sometimes, be flexible a little bit. But the more you can do it with the $10, the easier it will get when you get 100, and then when you get 1,000, and then when you get 10,000, because we already have a system in place. So I think the system of automating your savings, putting things like that bailout fund in place, putting things like your emergency fund in place, putting things like future bills in place, it kind of helps. Now, some people will just throw everything in one account. There's a woman I call, I think it's Faith in Motherhood or something like that. She has one account where all of her like 25 different sinking funds and emergency fund is all in there. And that's great if that works for you. For me, I like things to be divided up. But even if you use one account, it's good to know, okay, what is this for? Maybe this is coming out of the checking because I need to bail myself out of a sticky situation. I forgot there was a trip today. I forgot I had a doctor's appointment or something like that. The emergency fund is, oh crap, we have to move out of the country, or oh crap, I can't work for the next 6 months. I'm on maternity leave. I saw a woman in the bank yesterday. She worked at the bank, and another woman was complaining to her that when she had her baby, she went on maternity leave, but they only gave her 6 weeks. But this woman who just returned back to work, she had 12 weeks of paid leave, double the time, which I thought was good, because who wants to leave their 6-week-old baby, with somebody, and you just have to get over having the child and healing and all that. And then on top of that, you have to leave the baby. Like, that's really hard. But she got 12 weeks and it was paid. Some people don't get that. Maybe you want to take that extra time off. Maybe you want to take out the next year. An emergency fund could truly help with that. And then for future bills, because again, we're working against inflation. We're trying our best to make sure that there's something there to help us if and when things start to increase. If and when you have to increase expenses for certain things. If you're a homeowner, there's always going to be something, right? If you have children, there's always going to be something. Somebody needs something, somebody wants something, somebody has to have something, So I think that's important. And then I read something in here when it talked about automation. I hope I don't. Automation. The rich get rich by making their money work for them. They automate it. Some of the ways that they make their money work for them is buying I-bonds. And I know you guys who, if you're watching me, a lot of you have heard this already because you follow Mommy Trader. And there are other people you probably follow on this platform that talk about I-bonds all the time. Jerry from One Frugal Introvert talks about it. D from It's D, she talks about it. It's important to have something that fights against inflation. And then opening a money market account is another one. That's a great place, from what I hear and what I've been reading. It's a great place to park your emergency fund if you want something that actually gives you a competitive interest rate, and it gives you direct, fast access to the money with checks and with a debit card you can use. That's a great way to help it. It's like it's still working for you. It's working in your favor. And then what do? The rich make their children rich by doing what? By investing for them, by making sure they're beneficiaries on all those accounts, investment accounts, properties that they own, things that they can pass on that have a financial value that can cause them to already be in a better or stronger financial place when they get started, if that makes sense. So if your children are listed as beneficiaries on those accounts, if your children are earning money right now in their high yield savings accounts, in their investment accounts, then you're preparing them some of the things that we can do with our money to increase it and also to break those generational curses. I cannot see anything. Wait a minute, my whole screen just changed. Is anybody still here? Oh my gosh. I don't know what's going on. Well, where did wow, I can't see anything. Okay. Okay. I can't see anything. And I don't know what I did, but I hope that some of what I said made some sense or helped you in any way, even the small. To me, I felt extremely blessed, and I feel like even when things look a little grim, or you're feeling a bit, maybe you're burnt out or overwhelmed, or you feel like this is not working, we either are going to trust God with this journey that we're on, or we're not. Because if we're not, then we can go sit down and just mope in the corner. But I would rather us not. I would rather us come together and say, no, we got this. We can do this. I know it's hard. I know it's tough. I know we have to work through some things emotionally, financially, but we can get, sometimes it's like we get into a situation, job loss of a loved one, anything, just things breaking down, things not working out the way you want, cutbacks or whatever at the job, or business is not going the way you thought it would. It doesn't mean that we should get stuck in this situation. I think I talked about this last week or the week before. You can feel the emotions of what's happening, but don't sit there in the darkness. You have to look ahead. You've got to break out no matter what it looks like. We're moving forward no matter what it looks like. We're not supposed to sit stuck in the emotions. We can feel it, talk it out, journal it out, write it out, sing it out, worship it out, go punch the punching bag at the gym, run on the treadmill, talk to a friend, cry on your spouse's shoulder, something. But we still have to move forward. We have to look ahead, because if we get stuck in this one place, then we cannot do the things that we want to do, the things that would actually help us, our money, increase our worth, increase our knowledge and understanding. By sitting in one place, it doesn't do anything. It's actually bad for us to sit for too long. We have to get up and we have to get moving, because we don't want um we don't want problems in our body. We don't want problems in our stomach. We don't want problems in our mind with our emotions, because we're not dealing with the causes of the issues. We have to deal with it. That's why it's called Mind Your Money, because I know I talk about the budgeting, and we're talking about, and I'm your mindset. Do you have a mindset where you're going to sit in the corner and be blue and suck your thumb, or you have the mindset where I'm going to feel this, I'm going to talk it out, I'm going to work it out, I'm going to pray it out, and then I'm going to get moving? Because you can't just be still in those emotions, because that's when the enemy will creep in and start giving you all kinds of doubts. I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do. Then you defeated, the defeat language starts running through your mind. And I don't want any of us to have that defeat type of mentality. I want to, I'm hurt or whatever, but I got to move forward, because if I sit here, nothing is going to happen. There was a couple parables that came to mind that I want to share. And some of you may know, some of you may not know, but the parable was so important and so valid, because sometimes we get a little something and we want to hold on to it. Me, I'm going to raise my hand. I would get a little money and just, I don't want to spend this. I'm just going to like push it to this, do something with it to make more for you. Some things like investing, some things like starting a business, some things like spending your time. Where some businesses, you may not have to put a lot up front, but you have to dedicate some time to working things out to make it increase for you. Some people would just bury their stuff in the ground. Oh, I'm not even going to talk about this. I don't even want to share this. I don't even want to do it. I'm just going to leave it here, because I'm too afraid of what, being rejected, not being good enough, and not being perfect. And other people going to say, you know what? I'm going to take this same $10 and I'm going to do something with it. Maybe I'll buy myself some lip gloss, because I don't have enough to beat my face all the way, but I'm going to put on my lip gloss. I'm saying something. I hope I'm saying something, because it's coming to me just like this. I'm going to put on my little lip gloss and I'm going to turn on this camera and I'm going to present something, because I want to reach a certain group of people, or I want to encourage myself and enough. When I look back, I know I felt bad, but I got over that because I have to get through it. I have to look ahead. I got to move forward. Yeah. What else? There was another parable, because one was about the three people who one person buried the money. Another person just gave it. I forgot what the second one did, but they just didn't do anything with it. They didn't increase it. They didn't work it at all. They didn't do anything. Don't be like that person. Be like the person who says, I know I feel a little bit afraid. I know I might feel a little bit fearful, but let me check where those thoughts are coming from, and let me move forward, because I have to move forward. If you want to have excess balance in your checking account, what are you going to have to do to make that work? Like, I know that life happens, but what can we cut back on, or what can we stop doing for a little while just to make that happen? Not saying that you have to live frugally your whole entire years, but what can I do now to make it better for my future? What can I say no to now so I can increase? What do I need to invest in now to increase my net worth, increase my savings? What can I do to do? Yeah, these are the questions we have to ask ourselves. One of the things that's really hard for me to do right now, and I'm being honest with you, is that some of the savings challenges that I have, and I have a whole bunch here, and I have more that I want to, invest in with other people in their business. I might not be able to go to a 5-star resort right now, but that doesn't mean I won't be able to do it in the next couple of years, because you know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to invest in my knowledge by reading books that I think are going to help me, and they are helping me to formalize a plan, or formulate a plan. Also, the savings challenges that I'm doing, $5 here, $2 there, $3 there, because I'm working my way towards something. I don't want anybody to think you have to give up because you're not in a position where you're making the same as someone else. You can still build up to that first 1,000, first 2,000, first 3,000. You can still buy the property and do all the things. Just do your research and just don't give up. There are different ways to increase, different ways to save. It can all be unique and fun, but make sure it's relevant to you. Right? Because I can't see anything. I don't know what's going on. That really sucks. I don't know what's happening. What is going on? Jesus, what is this? I don't know what to click on. I don't know what happened. I don't know. Is it my screen is too? Oh, I don't know what's going on. Oh. I appreciate everybody who came out. And if you don't mind, if you watch the replay or if you're seeing this video, just please give me a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. I'm going to try again next Thursday. And let me reach out to Desiree, because I don't know what happened. I don't know why I was skipping. I don't know. But I guess I'll just play these slides again. These are the things that I was talking about. Creating a bailout fund. That's excess balance in your checking account above your minimum monthly expenses to keep enough inside to support the household. Your emergency fund could be a second or maybe even a third line of defense against life's ups and downs. Have at least 3 months of expenses growing at a high interest rate. So preferably a high yield savings account, or maybe there are some brick and mortar banks or some institutions that give a high interest on money market accounts. That's always, a good idea to research those and check it out, see which one works better for your money. Saving for future bills, that is a last line of defense. 2 months of bill money so that you can sleep a little bit better at night, knowing, okay, if anything happens, I have bill money in an account somewhere, or I have it somewhere where I can pull it out and use it if I need to, right? That's like a last line of defense. And then, of course, I talked about the rich getting rich by making their money work for them. I bonds are popular. I bonds are a smart way to help, safeguard your money against inflation. Opening up that money market account, again, not financial advice, just my opinions, and I'm sharing what I've learned from this book. And then definitely making sure, if you have children or if you have nieces, nephews, people that you love and care about, make sure that you are doing something to build for them as well, adding beneficiaries to those accounts wherever they are, because if we're trying to build up the next generation to be wealthy, to be wise, to be whole, then those are things that we should definitely be doing. So that's all. I appreciate you guys for being here. Remember to mind your money, y'all. Manage it well and live your lives abundantly. Bye for now. I don't know.